rumors are not confirmed, but the players whose names are floating around are, of course, Eddie Nketiah and Callum Hudson-Odoi, two English-born players of Ghanaian descent. The question to you is, how do you feel about the Ghanaian national team bringing in players after you guys have qualified for the World Cup who didn't take part in the qualification process?
No, that's a good question. I mean, personally, it just reminds me of the quote, no contribution, no chop. You know what I mean?
Say that again.
Hey, no contribution, no chop, Charlie. Bro, it's one of those things, like, if you're not there during, you know, the struggle of getting to a major tournament, just stepping into the major tournament, it shines an interesting light. But it's about choosing, you know, the team that you want, choosing the national team specifically that you want.
Yeah.
From the start. It's understandable for someone to be split decision.
Of course.
It's understandable for it to be hard. At the end of the day, you know, obviously the coach has also brought up the fact that, listen, you know, we want to honor the people who stuck with and went through. So it's interesting. We'd love to hear what y'all have to think as well too.
I would say I think there's a way to bring them in without letting them be at the forefront, because you weren't part of the qualifying round. You weren't part of building up this squad, but you could be a useful asset, and you don't want to kind of shoot yourself in the foot with the fact that you can bring in some incredible players to the squad. But I definitely think if you were to put them as instant starters, that would super hurt team chemistry. And we know how important chemistry is, especially on a national team and especially in an international competition, and that's not worth the risk.
I personally don't think that they should be allowed to join the team. One of Ghana's strongest teams ever, the team that went to the 2010 World Cup, was majority homegrown players. They won the U20s World Cup in 2009, the year before, with 100% players who came up in Ghana. And so that country specifically has a history of succeeding when they rely on players who came up in local academy systems. We see obviously South Africa right now. They just qualified for the World Cup first in their group. They fielded some of the games that they played in qualifiers were 100% homegrown players. So we're seeing this pattern more and more that could be a recipe for success, and I think Ghana should follow suit.
I mean, how I feel is the complete opposite. I think, and I'll use the example of just a workplace environment. If you're a company that succeeds in one thing, you go on to another thing that's a bit more difficult because you succeeded in your first step. Why would you not go and bring better talent to achieve the second goal? At the end of the day, Ghana's players got paid to be part of the qualification process. So it's not like there's this sentimental issue of, oh, we struggled and we did this and we did that. You were compensated for your effort. Now it's a new challenge and a new thing. Bring in the best talent you can possibly do. That's how I feel. And personally, if it was Cameroon or if it was Italy, how I would feel is that I would want the best players to be part of that process. I would want the best players on the field going to the World Cup. And so if we have a chance to acquire new talent, you should. That's my opinion.
Would you integrate them directly in terms of the fact of, okay, if you could be the starting 11, would you directly put them there? Would you take them off the bench?
I think you start off the bench and you let them have to prove themselves in the last 35, 40 minutes, because at the end of the day, national team is much more about chemistry than club football.
Exactly.
But I think it's kind of silly to not bring the talent, because what if someone gets injured and then you say to yourself, man, I could have brought Nketiah to this tournament and I didn't because of pride? You should. You got to bring them. If you have the opportunity, you have to.
The conversation that we just had, you know, about the Ghanaian national team brings up the fact that, you know, some cases it does work when you tap into the diaspora resources that you have. You know, Morocco was able to make a deep run in last World Cup.